In the heart of Iran's Rocky Mountains, where the winds whisper the secrets of forgotten empires, there stood a fortress so unreachable that they said even the devil himself wouldn't dare climb its walls. Its name was Alamut, the eagle's nest, and within it lived a man who turned faith into a deadly weapon, and built an empire out of fear. His name was Hassan-i Sabbah. Hassan was not born a ruler. He was once a scholar, thirsty for knowledge, fascinated by logic and the hidden truths within religion. But when he saw the world collapsing under the weight of power and corruption, he decided to build a new world. One ruled by a single law, loyalty. He chose the mountains of Alamut, a place where the clouds lay beneath his feet, and man stood face to face with his faith. There, he gathered around him a group of young men, brave, silent, and fearless. He trained them in shadows and silence, until they became spirits without sound, sliding through the dark, ready to shape the fate of kings in a single moment. They earned a name that shook the world. The Assassins. Their enemies could not sleep for fear of them, and whispers of their deeds spread from the mountains of Iran to the castles of Europe. They said Hassan could send his men to their deaths with a single word, and they would go smiling, believing they were bound for paradise.
وفاداریت را با چه اثبات میکنی؟
جانم رو فدا میکنم. جانم رو فدای صاحب کلید بهشت میکنم.
The first mission brought blood and terror to the world. On a moonlit night, one of his finest disciples was called upon. His target, Nizam al-Mulk, the Grand Vizier of the Seljuks. The young man, disguised as a scholar, entered his tent. And as the vizier leaned forward to hear his poetry, a dagger pierced his heart. By sunrise, the vizier was dead, and the legend of the assassins was born. Years passed. Hassan ruled from the heart of Alamut without ever setting foot beyond its walls. Yet his name alone sent chills through the palaces of kings. No army could reach him and no spy could escape him. Kings woke in fear of the assassin's dagger, and crusader knights in distant lands looked over their shoulders in dread. The terror they inspired took such deep root in Europe that Westerners gave them the name assassins, meaning murderers. A name that would echo through the hearts of Europe and the Middle East for centuries. But their power and influence frightened not only their European foes. In the Islamic world too, rulers began to fear the rise of this sect. In Syria, Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, the great conqueror and hero of the Crusades, issued an order that all followers of this creed be crucified. That decree struck the assassins like a spark in a powder keg. Sinan, one of the great leaders of the order, wrote a letter to Saladin, firm, respectful, yet threatening, asking him to withdraw his decree. But Saladin, filled with confidence and pride, refused. He believed no power could stand against his unity and faith. So he sent a mighty army toward the fortress of Masyaf in Syria, a stronghold deeply loyal to the assassins. Within Masyaf's walls, the followers of the creed knew there was no turning back. A greater enemy than ever before stood before them. But before the battle began, an event occurred that history would never forget. One early morning, Saladin awoke. The sun had just risen over the horizon. But what he saw froze the blood in his veins. On the table beside his bed, a dagger was buried deep into the wood, and beneath it lay a letter. Its message read, "This dagger could have been in your heart instead. Know this, fate and death are in our hands." The note was short, but its message weighed heavier than 1,000 swords. Saladin realized that they had infiltrated his very camp, the one place no enemy should ever have reached. He knew this was not merely a threat, but a reminder of a terrifying truth: no throne, no wall, no power could protect him from those who wielded death in the name of their faith. That night, the march toward Masyaf was halted. Saladin retreated without battle. For he understood now, an enemy who rules through fear can be more dangerous than an army of thousands. From that day forward, the name of the assassins was no longer just a sect, it became a legend, a shadow that lingered through history. Centuries later, the name Hassan-i Sabbah is still whispered, a symbol of faith, deception, and the power of the mind. For the assassins were not merely killers, they believed. And in the end, nothing is more dangerous than belief.